Hey guys, it's Rachel Worthy with another episode of Greenhouse TV, and today we're talking about taking a selfie with Cleopatra. We've been doing a series on apologetics, and this week we're discussing the evidence for the empty tomb. One of the core claims of the Christian faith is that on Easter Sunday morning, the tomb was empty. This is actually so important to the Christian faith that in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 18, Paul said, "And if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile." To many people, this claim about the resurrection of Christ is something they feel they simply cannot accept. They look at this claim and they say, prove it. I want to be able to touch it. I want to be able to see it. I want to be able to experience it. How can you say that Jesus rose from the dead when this isn't something that I can see and experience? But the claims about Jesus' life aren't scientific claims that can be tested and repeated. They're historical claims. And when we look at historical claims, we approach them with a different set of assumptions. Can I take a selfie with Cleopatra? No, but that doesn't mean that I don't believe she exists. I can look at sources from the time and find out that she was a brilliant and a beautiful woman. Can anyone repeat the destruction of Pompeii? No, but we can look at archaeological evidence. We can look from sources at the time to discover what that was like. Can I shake hands with Plato? Can I meet Attila the Hun? Can I stand in the room and hear Martin Luther declare his famous words that started the Reformation? Can I experience what it's like to have the Black Plague? No, hopefully. These events and people are things that we know about historically, through sources, through artifacts, through archaeology. So let's turn a historical eye like that towards the claim of the empty tomb. What historical proofs can we offer for the empty tomb? Now, firstly, we have the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, these four Gospels were written by either eyewitnesses or the close friends of those who were eyewitnesses to the empty tomb. And all four Gospels said there was an empty tomb. Now, you may respond and say, of course they did. The disciples wanted everybody to believe that Jesus had risen from the dead. Of course they would all write about the empty tomb. That doesn't tell us much at all. But other historians at the time actually attest to the fact that at least the body was missing. Justin Martyr, historian at the time, writes this: "His disciples stole him by night from the tomb where he was laid when unfastened from the cross, and now deceive men by asserting that he is risen from the dead and ascended to heaven." Now, you may be like, whoa, he's not saying that Jesus rose from the dead at all. Correct. But what he's also not saying is, here's the body, you dummies. Obviously, he's dead. The missing body of Jesus was an extremely contentious issue. It completely put to shame the Romans and the Jews who had killed Jesus. It made them look like fools for people, thousands of people, to be going around claiming that Jesus had risen from the dead. So if there was a body to be found, don't you think they would have been able to find it? If the disciples had just gone to the wrong tomb, they would have said, come on guys, this is the right tomb. Look, this is where it is. These claims about Jesus rising from the dead and about the empty tomb came from the very city where Jesus died. It wasn't like rumors started thousands of miles away where nobody could know if it was really true. They couldn't find a body. Tertullian in the year 2000, he also wrote about this, another historian outside of scripture. He wrote, "This is he," so talking about Jesus, "who his disciples secretly stole away, that it might be said that he had risen again." Matthew writes about where this idea of the stolen body comes from in Matthew 28, 11-15. "The chief priests tell the soldiers, 'You must say, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep.' So they took the money and did as they were directed. And this story is still told among the Jews to this day." If the tomb was not empty, why lie? It would have been so much easier to just produce the missing body. One other textual fact I want to bring up is that the story about the empty tomb first came from women. In Jesus' time, this would have been such an unlikely thing to do if you were trying to make up a really creditable story, because women weren't considered credible witnesses. The disciples wrote that the women were the first ones to see the empty tomb, most likely because it's the truth, because they are the ones who actually saw that. I can't give you a photo of the empty tomb on Easter Sunday morning, but I also can't show you a photo of Cleopatra. Historical evidence gives us a strong reason to believe that Cleopatra was a remarkable woman and that the tomb on Easter Sunday morning was empty. Now, we can be fairly sure it was empty, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. Maybe the disciples really did steal the body. We're going to discuss this question next week on Greenhouse TV. We're going to look at proofs for the resurrection and the greatest detective of all time, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. See you then.